1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Английский канал. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Английский. Вторую станцию проверим.
Английский язык. Английский язык. Английский. Английский язык. Английский.
Один, два, три, четыре, пять, шесть, семь.
Мы с Настей об этом... Английский канал. Английский канал.
Английский канал. Слышно, да? Английский. Английский канал. Английский.
То есть, что...
Dear participants of the meeting, please take your seats. Kindly be seated.
Уважаемые участники,
Dear participants of the meeting, please kindly be seated. The meeting is about to start in a couple of minutes. Yangantau is a legendary mountain, a country of wonders of the sleeping dragon. The cries of birds and hawks, the land of the national hero Salavat Yulaev, the great geological history and traditions dating back to many centuries. Yangantau Geopark was created by the order of the government of the Republic of Bashkortostan in 2017. There are more than 20 geological facilities and sites. 37 monuments have international importance. The first one is Mechetleno Kat, Большая Luka Kat, and Yangantau Mount. Yangantau Kat belongs to the Permian period, and it is a candidate for Golden Nail Prize. In 1934, our geologist Semikhatova, she described the stratotype of Bashkirian soils. The Biomeological water treatment are also very important and famous. From the subsurface, we receive gases which have very high and positive influence on and treatment use on the human body. The goal was set recently to make sure that Yangantau Geopark joins UNESCO system of geoparks. We created a concept, we studied the experience, we went abroad, and we understood very precisely which path to take. And in a very short period of time, within 3 years, we have implemented the project. We have joined the system of UNESCO Geoparks. Starting from 2017, a huge amount of work was done to promote the Geopark, to prepare the nomination dossier, to come up with a roadmap, to defend the project in front of the juries of the international level. Thanks to the interaction of the population and the governmental bodies and international organizations, that has become possible. One of the main conditions is involvement of local folk to the work of Geopark. The people supported us, and many of local enterprises are our partners nowadays. As a result of implemented work, on the 1st of September 2019, Yangantau Geopark was accepted into the system of global geoparks. And on 2009 session of executive session of UNESCO, it has received the status of global UNESCO geopark. Our geopark is the first one in Russia and post-Soviet territory. It's the first UNESCO geopark. Yangantau is the pride of Bashkortostan, a country of legend and a wonderful, splendid place of power. The meeting of the Board of Trustees is opened by Radi Khabirov, the head of the Republic of Bashkortostan. Greetings, dear colleagues, greetings, dear guests. We today are going to continue a series of meetings dedicated to the development of geoparks in our republic, and we are holding the first meeting of the Board of Trustees. These are unique monuments of nature, and for us it's a huge pressure. It's our national heritage of the Republic, which we are obliged to maintain and preserve. Indeed, our Republic was the first in post-Soviet territory who created the geopark based on Mechetleno geological cut. It's a very important victory for us. That's as far as the legal part of the international status is concerned. Now, to make sure that it becomes the point of attraction for thousands and millions of tourists, we need to develop the infrastructure, we need to develop the territory, we need to promote it in media. And here we need a detailed roadmap on the development of the geopark, well-streamlined environment and framework. We need to invite partners in the sphere of science, geological education. We need to get all the monuments of archaeology involved, some quarries and some open cuts and caves also. So it's quite clear that there is a huge potential for the recreational tourism of 5-star level based on Yangantau recreational facility. It has a very well-developed network of walking tours routes. We need to establish new platform, new sites, comfortable recreational facilities, roadside attractions, and restaurants and catering services. Also, we have to establish Toratau Geopark in Sterlitamak and Dushanbe districts, and a number of facilities of historical and natural prominence. I think it's Mechetlino Cut is a very demonstrative example of the Permian period. Now we have a full-size work preparing the nomination dossier. Simultaneously, we also work as similar to Yangantau on a roadmap. We need to take into consider educational, scientific, and tourist prominence. And here, Krasnosolsky Recreational Home is of a huge help. Toratau territory is closer than Salavat to the International Ufa Airport. It may receive dozens of thousands of guests from Russia and abroad. I think here we should have a very good educational and scientific infrastructure. For example, we can start an international geological school to resolve all those issues and get all the resources involved. That's why we have created our Power of Trustees. It will be a project committee. It will support the implementation of plans on the geoparks. I kindly request all the members of all the trustees to encompass all the initiatives, all the ideas. Dear colleagues, let's continue our work. Our agenda is formed for today. I would like to give the floor to Elena Lysenkova, the head of the State Tourist Projects and Safety of the Federal Agency on Tourism. Elena Vyacheslaevna, you are welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Habirov. Good morning, dear participants of the meeting. On behalf of the Federal Agency for Tourism, I'm happy to greet you. As it was said before, the role of geoparks and its development is extremely vital, not only for the country and for the ecological diversity, but also for the sake of tourism development. The global network of geoparks was created in the early 2000s in the European part of the continent. It was created and it allows to preserve the natural monuments, it facilitates education and practically demonstrates those geopolitical processes of Earth that took place, and it allows to educate the young generation they familiarize with the natural monument of Earth. Russia, Europe, and the globe have a few objects that have such unique geological and political features. The landscapes define the cultural development and diversity of Earth, and they give the characteristics to Bashkortostan and allow to enjoy its diversity. Preserving animals and flora depends not only on the climate, but the landscape and our own activity. And such unique features of the heritage of the Russian Federation should be pointed out. The global geoparks of UNESCO, Yungantau is a part of, are not only the mechanism of preservation and development, they facilitate tourism, they facilitate international cooperation. And thanks to this cooperation, regions of significant geological monuments get a support and provide an approach for such a preservation. You and I are citizens of the country, and we will do our best to touch the beauty. Ecological tourism plays a big role here, and the tourism offers a compatible cooperation of education, tourism, nature, preservation of natural environment and culture. We facilitate support of remote areas. We facilitate economic development and raise of income. We encourage investments into the preservation of the natural features. A lot of people believe that ecological tourism aims at economical incomes, but the main principles of The ecological tourism is to preserve the nature and take care of the environment, to conduct enlightenment and provide ecological sustainability while interacting with UN and a global tourism organization. And participants of these organizations follow the main rules of these organizations. And we travel to the natural monuments in order to learn about them without disrupting their features. And that's why they are so attractive for tourists. It is the most eco-friendly type of tourism. You learn about the nature, you arrange some aesthetic experience. But anyway, you preserve the environment and restore the consumed resources. So that's why we encourage tourism in these territories. The global geoparks of UNESCO aim at informing the population about the natural diversity of Earth. The integration and the strategies for development of geoparks in Bashkortostan is comprised in the project and strategy for development of hospitality industry. It requires support in order to develop its features, and it will be implemented through the creation of new routes, including routes for ecotourism. And we also facilitate the sanatoriums and resorts in the territory of geoparks, and we are going to create some more of these resorts. The Federal Agency for Tourism supports such forms of development and perfection. We want to make these programs of recreation available and affordable for potential tourism, for potential tourists. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elena. We're grateful to the Ministry of Tourism, which is very attentive to cooperation with our republic, and we are expecting we will be happily receive you to take a look at those natural facilities. Dear colleagues, let's continue. Well, actually, I was going to say that the fact that Geopark received international status, that is just the case which has become possible thanks to the operation and work of enthusiasts who have made the decision and with their labor and energy went through this hard path. The enthusiasts include Professor Larissa Bilan, who is present here and who provided scientific shepherding, and Alfred Akbashov, the director of Yangantau Sanatorium, who actually put much effort to make sure that we get international status. I would like to give the floor to Alfred now. Dear Radi, dear members of the Board of Trustees, dear guests, to tell you honestly, I'm absolutely happy that we have lived to see the times when we review the problem of development of geoparks. Actually, the route, the path we went was quite complicated. I would just to say very briefly, I would like to share my experience and understanding of the processes which are involved when it comes to the establishment of geoparks. The idea actually occurred when we understood that we need to preserve Yangantau Mount Yangantau, its unique factors, and the surrounding nature. When we began to study those issues, we saw that there is a whole number of national parks, and they do not match the requirements which are put forward because all of them have restrictive character. Well, having become to study, we formed an ideology of a geopark, which at that time was actively promoted and developed. We liked very much the idea of preservation of the surrounding environment and also active participation of local people who should participate directly in the process. And the main task which UNESCO imposes is the increase of well-being of people who live in the given area. And we found very quickly, very promptly, people of common grounds, of common thinking. Larissa from the department of her scientific R&D center, and we developed a concept together. The Ministry of Property gave us their approval to create the Scientific and Educational Center Yangantau. We established a group, a project group, which made a huge amount of work. We also invited all the leading institutions, R&D centers of biology, archaeology, and geology. We made a huge amount of research. We were lucky that we could get to know Mr. McKeever. It's the head of the Department of Geoparks and Geoscience at UNESCO. During the whole time of his presence and work with us, he has visited Yangantau 3 times. And we actually the negative experience of establishment of geoparks in our republic was also very useful. And we formed a precise conception that we should study existing experience of the leading European geoparks. We also studied the experience of Chinese geoparks. And we very well understood that we're heading in the right direction, because the main goal was development of tourism. And without it's impossible to do that without attracting tourist flows and increasing well-being of the local people. China, for example, has 200 geoparks. They have regional status, and also about 30 geoparks are international, so they are included in the global network of geoparks. In a very short period of time, within half a year, we, thanks to the efforts of our employees, we prepared a nomination dossier, and the Institute Sigea R&D Center was of a huge help, and also UNESCO Committee of Russian Federation, who could very quickly promote our nomination dossier already in autumn 2018. It was taken for review in UNESCO Committee. Next year, we received experts who made a very thorough review for quite a long period of time. They couldn't understand that it was possible. They spent 4 days, but unfortunately they came up with lots of comments and remarks, which we rectified. And our first presentation of Geopark Yangantau was made in Italy at the 8th International Convention of Geoparks, where we received a very high appraisal. Those comments, once rectified, in Indonesia on the 1st of September, we were accepted to the global Geopark network. Already on the 8th of March at UNESCO committee meeting, we were approved within the system of UNESCO. What I mean to say is that today this motion, this work, is very actively supported throughout the whole world, and that the fact that the government supports it, I think we are the leaders in the implementation of the system of absolutely new area of tourism all over the world. We have a unique opportunity to become drivers of growth of geopark movement in Russia, and we can implement attract tourist flows, attract international organization and tourists from abroad. We can establish an educational center, a center of competences on the development and implementation, on the teaching of experts of geoparks in Russia. I think all this in complex, these are the questions we can implement. And just to make a conclusion, the geopark ideology is a merging of a human and nature. It's like a window into the nature in our today's urbanized world. It's an opportunity to implement step by step, in 1 or 2 steps, of a person, of an urban person, to see the world in all its beauty. So it's a way to yourself. Thank you so much. Of course, dear colleagues, I would like to say also that a huge help came and should be mentioned. The head Kashap of Mars, the head of the administration of the city of Salavat. So we have two heads of municipalities here present who are members of the Board of Trustees. Please exchange your experience because in order to prepare Toratau dossier. We have an address of Mr. Christoph Vanderberg, the manager of Geoparks and Geoscience. Dear participants, we are kindly requested to put on your headsets for simultaneous translation.
Your Excellency, Dr. Ordzhonikidze, Ambassador Plenipotentiary of the Foreign Ministry of Russia, and Secretary General of the Russian Commission for UNESCO, dear representatives of the Republic of Bashkortostan, dear Excellencies, dear friends of the Yangangtao UNESCO Global Geopark. On behalf of UNESCO, I wish to welcome you to this International Business Week and in particular to the ceremony that you've set up to hand over the UNESCO Global Geopark certificate. I regret that I have to greet you through a video message, but in addition to living very strange times of COVID restrictions, this event overlaps as well with UNESCO's executive board, and hence I cannot be live with you today. But let me first congratulate our colleagues from the Yangangtao UNESCO Global Geopark once again for having obtained the UNESCO denomination. I know how much time and effort you have put in this and what a long road you have walked to come to this point. But you are now a member of a family of 161 UNESCO Global Geoparks, spread over 44 countries all around the globe. And while we expect from you that you keep up the high standards and that you develop yourself further in all aspects of the UNESCO Global Geoparks, you can also count on the support of UNESCO, of its Secretariat, but also together with our statutory partner, the Global Geoparks Network, and the support of all the individual sites as well. UNESCO is particularly proud with this new edition in Russia. It's the first one in the region, and we hope that it inspires others to join the network. I am certain that your involvement in this event, but actually in all the events that you've set up over the past couple of months, networking events, capacity building events, that will all contribute to that. And I wish to thank you here once again, the entire Geoparks team, for all your efforts. UNESCO is very proud of the UNESCO Global Geoparks as the youngest UNESCO site denomination. And we are very pleased to see the growing interest worldwide. We strongly believe in the force of geoparks for their contribution to the 2030 development agenda, but also for their resilience. And I think this has been demonstrated and is being demonstrated still during this health pandemic. We noticed that geoparks, for example, despite the challenging circumstances, they remain active. They were creative in setting up alternative school programs for children that were locked at home. They connected farmers with consumers. They distributed masks, were involved in community activities, and they also reopened as soon as circumstances allowed for it, because people had a real need to reconnect again with nature. And UNESCO Global Geoparks offer exactly that. There's a tremendous strength in the community-driven approach that makes UNESCO Global Geoparks so unique. At the last Executive Board of UNESCO, we have been given the green light to implement the recommendations of the recent evaluation of the program, which left us with what we believe very useful guidance for the future, and we look forward to work on this together with all of you. We heard from the Member States the strong support as well to further develop the network, in particular in regions where the concept is less known. And that's a message that we have heard very loud and clear. And we will therefore keep on working on this together with you to extend the network. And in that sense, we are very pleased to see as well the new applications coming from Russia, the several projects that you are preparing, that you have in the pipeline. Let me conclude again, ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, by thanking the organizers for setting up this event. And I wish you all a very nice and a well-deserved ceremony. I hope we can soon meet again, but until then, stay well, take care, and all the best. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vanderberg. Dear colleagues, we proceed. And before we got this status, we started defining what kind of structure and infrastructure should the geopark have. So let's listen to the first deputy of the head of the government and know about the prospects for the development of infrastructure. We are going to say what we are doing and what we have to do. Mr. Habirov, Mr. Nazarov, dear friends, dear participants of the meeting, the municipal administrations and the administrations of the geoparks conduct a complex job in order to develop the geoparks. We conducted a session, and I would like to express my gratitude to the heads of Salavat and Stiltamak municipalities for being there. We gathered all the stakeholders and experts. Weekly, now we meet and discuss the plans for the development of geoparks. We raise all the key issues. We wanted to give a definition to the geopark and outlined the plan for the general development. Also, we would like to define a term of a Geopark resident. This resident should be assigned the rights for those who live in the territory of geopark, attract investors, and conduct their business. And this status will allow to get preferences and benefits for the potential investors. We define the operator for the geoparks development. This is the Committee for Tourism. And those who facilitate the development of geoparks will get the full kit of support measures. We made a list for such measures and regarded to the adoption of the new tools of development. We provided subsidies for entrepreneurs who conduct their business in the territory of the geopark. We also provided the package module units that would provide the consumers with the electricity and other utilities. We will supply those who create art objects, routes, and other facilities in the territory of the geopark in order to attract tourists. We would like to update and upgrade those facilities that are now possessed by the geoparks, and we would like it to consider as a prioritized investment project. We would like to allocate about 10 million rubles. And we refer to 292 decree of the government of the Republic of Bashkortostan in order to provide Geopark Yangantau with the above-mentioned subsidies. So we provide tools that positively affect the infrastructure and facilitate investment projects according to 181 decree of the government of the Republic of Bashkortostan. Sometimes it gets complicated to attract entrepreneurs to the territory of the geopark. We cooperate with municipalities and we facilitate the platforms that can be used by the potential investors, and all the events that can facilitate this process are foreseen in the roadmap. In Taratau, we are going to build stairs to Shihan and Yuraktau Shihan Monadnox, and such a project will cost 336 million rubles. And we are going to use the budget allocated for the implementation of this project. We are working on the engineering infrastructure of rivers in Krasnosolsky district. We need costs for engineering and construction of the infrastructure facilities. Engineering and construction is defined by the funds allocated for Taratau, and the sum comprises about 100 million rubles. In 2022, we are going to build 6 media centers that will cost 39 million rubles. So for 21-22, we are going to spend about 100 million rubles. About Yangantau, we have 3 prioritized construction facilities, and this construction should have been finished by 2022. We are going to deal with the golden nail of the section. We are going to design all the infrastructure facilities by means of the Yangantau Sanatorium budget. And I think that the Russian and Republic of Bashkortostan's investment facilitation project will cover the costs in 2022. All the consultations with the Ministry of Finance have already been conducted, and the next expert meeting, after the budget adjustments, we will be able to submit our decisions and solutions to the Expert Commission of the Republic of Bashkortostan. Regarding the restoration, we are going to restore Malayas Museum, and this museum deals in the natural studies. And these are not major costs, but the Ministry of Culture would support the initiative. We will need approximately 420 million rubles. And to create the Geopark, we will definitely need the budgetary support in order to reach the level of international geoparks. And the global practice shows that if we get a geopark, we will have also an increased entrepreneurship activity. And it will increase up to 100 million tourists per year. It is assessed that the Geopark is now visited by 100,000 people, and Yangantau is visited by 300,000 people. So I think that these geoparks have a lot of resources, and they definitely facilitate the development and preservation of the nature. We are going to create 39 facilities created by the private investments, and the investments are going to reach over 800 million rubles, and they are now being packed into investment projects. We are going to get ready and present them as public initiatives for investors. In the next stage, we are going to attract investments that would reach about 10 billion rubles. And this is the figure that Republic of Bashkortostan's government is expecting. I would like to specify the difficulties that we can have. On the federal level, we don't have a legal framework that would define a geopark. And we are facilitated by the UNESCO Global Geopark Network, so I think that altogether we will be able to settle this issue. Mr. Habirov, I would like to say that the growth points of the geopark are glampings and hotels, and I would like to say that we are working on it. We are creating glampings, and I guess that by 2024 we will have about 50 sites of glamping. The territory of geoparks have defined special sites, for example in Toratau and in Yangantau. And Yangantau is going to have 2 glamping sites, and they will enter the major network of glampings in the northeast. We have prepared a concept that would show the glamping facilitation program. And this program will include the state support measures facilitated by the Ministry of Trade. There are directions that we are going to get subsidies for, and these subsidies will be used for the above-mentioned sites. We are thinking about the management of these facilities in order to allow the appropriate management later on. And moreover, I would like to say that we are working on creating an international competence center. We plan the center to open very soon, and I think it will be created in Yangantau Geopark. It will be another attraction point for specialists that are working in the same direction as we do. So we are pioneering here because our competences are pretty significant. This is it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Legal framework for geoparks. Member of Parliament, Ms. Yumasheva. Dear Mr. Habirov, dear participants of the conversation, Geopark is a unique object that can become the new attraction point for tourism. And despite of the conditions of COVID-19, and it will facilitate the development of the domestic tourism. The Republic of Bashkortostan opened one of the biggest in Russia geoparks. It is Yangantau. It is the only Russian geopark that entered GGN. And today it is the major object. Their experience is vital, and we are interested in the development of geological natural parks. We put a lot of efforts to create the proper infrastructure there. We would like to enter another geopark of Republic of Bashkortostan into the GGN. It is Toratau, and being responsible person in the sphere of tourism, I would like to do my best to facilitate this development. The Republic of Bashkortostan now has 3 suggestions. The first one is creating the federal law about the geological heritage and geoparks. It is a bordered territory that does not have a specially protected status. It provides sustainable development. It includes cultural, geological, and natural objects, and it should be sustainable according to the natural and legal framework of the region and the country. Its goal is to spread science, culture, knowledge, and preserve nature. Unfortunately, we do not have a federal legal framework that would regulate the status of a geopark and their activity on the federal level. So that's why I consider it is vital to adopt a federal law to establish unified principles for the activity for preservation of cultural heritage and for the development of the potential of the Republic of Bashkortostan. I would like to suggest changes to the forestry code that allow to build roads through forests, and this code simplifies the process. In order to provide the sustainable development of geoparks and in order to attract tourism, we need to provide facilities such as roads and hotels. Today, it is important to change the status of the land parcel in order to conduct engineering and change the borders of greeneries. Forestry code does not allow major constructions in the greeneries. So that's why it's important to provide such an infrastructure and such a legal framework to the specially protected zones and to conduct amendments for the forestry code. We would like to define the ecological tourism in the legal framework. It is directly related to geoparks. Me and my colleagues have already have drawn such a law bill, and now we are getting the feedback and working it through. Dear colleagues, with regards to the economical potential of geoparks, their high attractiveness for tourism, and with regards to the related potential increase of jobs, I would like to combine and get together all our efforts for the sake of the geoparks in the Republic of Bashkortostan. Thank you very much. Thank you. So it's up to you to arrange the work. Dear colleagues, let's consider another issue, how we are preparing the nominees' profile for the geopark. The director of the Toratau Culture and Nature Department. Dear participants of the meeting, This year, Toratau was oriented on several key tasks. First of all, it is to prepare the nominees' profile. And since spring, we've been preparing it by means of our scientific community. We used the team that has passed the same path with Yangantao. We have used our research institutes, and we were facilitated and consulted by our colleagues from Yangantao. In June, we sent an initiative letter to the GGN office in Paris, and we wanted it to be signed by the president. We regularly met with the locals and analyzed the current situation according to the infrastructure and certain natural objects. In October, preliminarily, we sent our portfolio to the St. Petersburg Geological Institute. We got feedback and worked through the portfolio again. Mr. Ordzhonikidze from the Russian Commission for UNESCO, we managed to send our portfolio to the GGN office in Paris. On December 4th, Van der Beek signed our portfolio and got the confirmation that all the documents are received, and they are going to study it through. According to the regulation of UNESCO, they are going to study it by June or May. And in June, we expect the experts. And the experts will assess the infrastructure, they will visit the territory of the Republic of Bashkortostan and the Geopark, and they will study them according to the requirements and the portfolio that we had sent. As it was said before, the preparation of the nominees' portfolio and entering the GGN will be impossible unless the local folks are involved. In relation thereto, we are actively working on meeting the local folks. We conducted about 130 interviews and meetings, visited each settlement of the districts where geoparks are located. And we would like the locals to know what benefits they will get if they live in the territory of a geopark that is going to enter the GGN. So this year, we conducted a work in the sphere of enlightenment among school children and students. We created a special program for senior citizens, and we drove them around the geopark and showed the unique features of the geopark for them to know. And of course, we have launched some construction works as well. We are working on the first media center near Shehan, Toratau, and somewhere we are working with roads. Now, we want to create the eco route inside the geopark. In order to summarize, I would like to say that we cooperate with other regions. We've been to Ulyanovsk in their geopark, and they say that they are jealous about us because the Republic of Bashkortostan's government understand the essence of geopark and support a lot. And in relation thereto, we hope that our applications from Toratau will be as successful as Yangantau was. Thank you. The first thing that I would like to say, we have already discussed it when you said about the plans regarding Toratau. It's important if you build the stairs, it should be built in summer next year. Otherwise, we are always criticized that we eliminate all the extinct plants. And it is important to make special borders in order to preserve the natural features. you have a lot of things to do. You have to spend a lot of time for engineering. I would like to remind that in autumn we created the 3D model that will allow to provide the engineering documentation of a proper quality. This is right. That's what I'm talking about. You should spend winter in order to prepare all the models and drawings. So you have to arrange everything on time. So, dear colleagues, we have an interesting situation with Yangantau, and Yangantau outran even us, and Toratau got even more support than Yangantau had. And Mr. Kapkov allowed to provide even more support to the Geopark. He presented his vision. We have a video about the Toratau Geopark. Let's watch it. Poems in Russian about the autumn nature. Thank you very much. Dear colleagues, dear Board of Trustees members, do you have any ideas to express? You're welcome. Dear colleagues, dear Mr. Habirov, of course tourism is today a key point for every one of us. But I would like to make a wish for our Board of Trustees. We want it to be available even for disabled people. We want them to be able to visit geoparks and see the beauty. That's it. Thank you. Thank you for this comment. We want all the people to be able to come there despite of their physical state. And we would like to take it into account when we engineer all the infrastructure and facilities of the geopark, such as museum, cafes, restaurants, routes, and so on. Thank you. Anything else? No. Okay, so let's conclude. We conducted the first meeting of the Board of Trustees. And in the working procedure, we are going to define the regularity for these meetings. I think we should meet regularly, at least late winter or the middle of spring. We want the management company to report what documents they have prepared in order to start construction in summer. We would like you to take into account that the budget should include all the costs that are required. We understand that the year is to be tough, but nevertheless, we would like to implement as many ideas as we can. So we need to react quickly. And we have a lot of things to think through. We have a lot of things to do. We have to work out a lot of concepts yet. But we have started, and this is good. So I would like to express my gratitude to everyone who took part in the creation of Geopark Toratau. Once we get the certificates, we will acknowledge it and we will celebrate it a little. Unfortunately, we cannot do this in person, but maybe remotely. I wish all the success to Toratau Geopark, and you have already reported that you have submitted the portfolio. So I think we should push forward and continue, and I think that we will succeed. Dear colleagues, thank you very much. Have a good day, a good week of business.